Hi, I'm Nat from View Real Estate down in Hobart, just giving you an overview of the rental market down here for the month of July. So vacancy rates here are sitting at 0.6%. So still really low vacancy rates across the board. Average rents for a house is $590 a week and a unit is $470. So the unit average price has just gone down a little bit in the last couple of months. So that's just interesting to keep in mind for the investors out there. Days on market for rentals outside of those average rental prices are creeping up, as I've been saying a little bit. So anything, you know, the $600 plus, days on market are sort of drawing out to nearly the 21 days, so nearly about the 3-week turnaround. Anything in that average price bracket, though, is still flying off really quickly. Open homes, we're seeing around the 5 to 7 groups come through, and really good quality tenants coming through. So you've got, I'm doing a lot of virtual inspections as well from people moving to Tassie. Good old COVID has changed the way we live a little bit, so getting used to all of that. And people wanting to make that lifestyle change. So that's been really good as well. And people tenants aren't just taking anything anymore. So they're looking for quality rentals. They're looking for a quality property manager to deal with, and they're looking for a quality owner as well. So keep that in mind, that they are really all about making sure the home fits their lifestyle, fits their needs now as well. So that has been a really big thing that we've been looking at, and the feedback we've been getting from people. Lease renewals, I've found everyone's staying put. I've got all tenants sort of staying put. Rents are increasing between the 2 and 5% still, so still a steady increase on those to sit at, you know, that current market value. I always say, and my owners agree, if you've got a good tenant, you probably don't want to put the price up too much to sort of deter them to leave. It's a real happy medium, happy tenant, happy landlord, happy property manager. So overall down in Hobart, lots of movement, lots of quality tenants still looking, especially in that average price bracket as well. So really good down here. So over to you, Sharon.
Thanks, Nat. I'm Sharon from Harcourts in St Helens. So our vacancy rate at the moment is 0.9%, so still reasonably low. We are finding that properties over the 380 mark down here are sitting on the market for 21, 28 days. Anything under the 380 mark is renting really quickly. We're not seeing as many applicants as we once were, so probably 4 weeks ago, but the quality of the tenants has increased. So we're getting really good applicants for those properties coming through. Lease renewals for rent increases are around 5 to 10% at the moment. So we're seeing an increase. Most landlords are tending to stick with the lower side of the increases. Again, keeping those tenants in there, not pricing them out of the market, and understanding that, you know, that $20 a week may not be worth losing a good tenant over. So that's something really that they're really considering at the moment. We are seeing a lot of applicants for rural properties. So since COVID, and the same thing happening last month, any properties that tend to be out of the mainstream are getting a lot of applicants, almost double what our applicants are for houses in town, which is really quite interesting. And I think that's something that COVID has brought in, that people need their space and are looking for that sort of house out with a little bit of land. And yeah, so that's been really interesting change for us down here. Average rental price at the moment for St Helens is $350 for a 3-bedroom home. A lot of people are looking for single units at the moment. So we're having a lot of interest for single accommodation. So not looking for a house, not looking for a 2-3-bedroom unit, but a single 1-bedroom home. There is a huge increase for that at the moment. So if anybody's got any of those, that would be fantastic. As I said, days on market for properties over 380 at the moment is increasing, and it tends to be, it's getting worse, I think, each month. So the higher the rent, the slower it is to rent. I think that's all from me down here, so I'll pass over to Caitlin.
Thank you so much. My name is Caitlin and I am from Spark Property Management. We manage properties in the Greater Launceston and Devonport region, so our area is fairly broad. We currently have 6 properties available on the market and 5 of them are over $600 per week. So what we are finding at the moment is definitely much like what you are all saying, anything that's in that higher range, the days on market are starting to increase. Across the board, I'm starting to see that rents are needing to be brought back a little bit, which we have been quite lucky to not have to have really done much over the past 12 months. The one property that we've got that's sitting in that mid 400s has probably had about 10 times the inquiry of what we've had on these, the other 5 over $600 per week. So I think that kind of shows where people are looking at the moment and where that supply and demand really is. I think that really we do need some more just nice, comfortable homes in that 350 to 550 range, and a lot of people would be much happier, but unfortunately that is the current market. In terms of lease renewals, we have been finding most tenants have been renewing, which has been great. We're a relatively new business, so a lot of our renewals that are coming through, especially that when I'm looking ahead in the next 3 months, they're sort of on par with where market value is and they're kind of catching up a little bit, which is good. A few that have rented obviously earlier on, we're looking at about $10 to $30 a week increases, but again, a lot of clients are choosing to keep that low to avoid vacancy and keep those tenants in there. I think that's pretty much it from me, so I will hand over to Tamika.
Thanks, Katie. Thanks, ladies. I'm Tamika from Key 2 Property. We service the Launceston and Meander Valley area. We're seeing really much the same as everyone else across the state at the moment, which is good to see that the state itself is really quite settled in terms of what's happening in the rental market. So there's under a 1% vacancy rate, which is great for investors, not so great for tenants. But we're also seeing the same in regards to vacant properties. So anything sort of over that 500 a week is relatively stagnant and is averaging in about 20 days vacant at the moment. And in 9 out of 10 cases, the rents are actually having to come back on them, which is the first time we've had to do that in quite a few years. So that's an interesting conversation that we're having with landlords, particularly with interest rates going up. So, landlords out there, you do need to be starting to factor that in, that these exorbitant rents that we've been getting are now starting to settle, and that may cause you some grief with these interest rates if you're in that position. Properties under 500 a week are still walking out the door in our areas at the moment, and we're averaging about 23 inquiries within the first day being on the market. So that is great. That mid-range property, the affordable home, is going, and the same really great quality tenants is what we're looking at. Just the higher end is a bit slow, and I think that higher end market, they're potentially also owner occupiers, so I think they're watching the market pretty closely at the moment to see what's happening with sales, to whether it's a good time for them to buy opposed to renting another property. Lease renewals this month, we've found a 98% re-sign rate, which is great. For homes, we're seeing an average of a $25 a week increase, which is keeping that just below what it would be if it was vacant at the moment. So that's great. The owners are wanting to keep their tenants and meet them sort of almost in the middle. And units, we're seeing an average of a $15 a week increase. So same, we're wanting to keep our tenants, but we're wanting to keep it close to market value. So that juggling act that property managers see. But overall, the market's going really good, and we're seeing, particularly the sales market, now that that's settling, we've got investors that are keen to be buying, and returns on investments are back at about that 6 to 6.5% in some suburbs. So that is amazing. It's a good time to be buying in Tassie for sure. So that is the wrap up of Tassie for July. Tune in next month to see what changes.